Took him, lacking, wasn't looking, headshot. Drill shit up the pole, peel shit 40 Glock. Kill switch, run, bitches still hit. Rat back him, jump him, gun butt him. Lump him, he fight back and slump him. This shit ain't about nothing. You saw it, but you ain't seen shit. This is queen shit. No ifs, ands, or buts in between shit. It's 50, nigga. You already know how I give it, I get on my bullshit. Niggas tweaking and gigging. Huh? Southside, nigga. QB, nigga. Yeah. So what we gonna do? Where Jungle at? What we gonna do? We standing here, we going out. Shit, we should go out. We rich as a motherfucker.
Escalado over 808, some fatal over samples. I go yayo, crack music like the Yates on plugged in. Jump on cables, trap, bumping like prenatal 70s. I play with Play-Doh, all I see a bunch of Fredos. All I see a bunch of Fredos. All I see a bunch of Fredos. All I see is a bunch of Fredos. Hey, yo, Phil, I might put my next album out on G-Unit. You let them slap you around out here? You can't let them slap you around out here. It's bad for the family. They put a hand on you, you put two on them. On them. Fucking Fredos. One thing I hate is a fucking Fredo. It's bad for the family.
Peace, family. Y'all know who it is. It's Bakari Lumumba, the progenitor of LumumbaSpeaks.com. Back once again. We're back. We had a 3 or 4 month hiatus, but we're back. We are back, and we're back in the mix, and we're going to have a great show tonight. As you all know what to do. If you're watching, smash the thumbs up. Smash the thumbs up. Make sure you comment, like, subscribe, and share. We're back at LumumbaSpeaks.com, where we're going to be having a great conversation this evening regarding Larry Elder. We know he's a former California gubernatorial candidate and currently a candidate for the Republican nominee for president. He made some comments on the Higher Learning podcast, and so we're going to jump into that. But if you're watching, once again, it's Bakari Lumumba, the progenitor of LumumbaSpeaks.com, a Black empowerment initiative where we believe we could gain a competitive advantage by always betting on Black. And so once again, I want you all to make sure that you tap in. The link, I believe, is in the description. So, and I'll put the link in the chat in a few minutes, but we're going to have a great conversation regarding Larry Elder. Many of you may be unaware, many of you may be aware of him or even unaware, but he is a Black Republican. So we're going to even unpack, what does it mean to be a Black Republican? What is the history of Black Republicanism, right? What does it mean to be a Black conservative? We know many of us are aware of the greatest Black conservative in African-American history, and that is none other than Booker T. Washington, also known as the Wizard of Tuskegee. And we're talking about Tuskegee University. Shout out to the work that he put in down there, along with George Washington Carver, and the work that they did to create, of course, a educational institution that was able to provide economic stimulation for the Black people in the Bible Belt in Alabama. So definitely want to give a shout out to the great ancestor, Booker T. Washington. We know there are a lot of people who take umbrage with Booker T. Washington and what they call his accommodationist politics. We know contemporarily many Black Republicans tend to take an accommodationist approach to white supremacy, white nationalism, white hegemony. But I would make the argument, if you're familiar with the work of Booker T. Washington, that he actually was simply trying to keep Black people alive during the nadir of race relations. If you aren't familiar with the term the nadir of race relations, we're talking about none other than the late great Pan-Africanist historian Rayford Logan, who coined the term in his seminal book, The Betrayal of the Negro, From Rutherford B. Hayes to Woodrow Wilson. We know, of course, he was a professor at Howard University, and of course, he was a Pan-Africanist as well. So once again, if you're watching, make sure you hit the subscribe, like button, smash the thumbs up. We're trying to get those likes up. We need at least 100 likes tonight, and make sure you share. So we're going to tap in, and we're going to have a great conversation regarding Larry Elder. He was asked a question on the Higher Learning podcast. Shout out to the Higher Learning podcast regarding what has he done to combat fatherlessness. And Larry Elder believes that fatherlessness is one of the key issues that is destroying Black America. And so since this is the issue that he believes in, that is, of course, ravaging our community, the question was, what have you done to address this issue? So we're going to get into that, but we got to go over the ground rules. As you all know, here at Lumumba Speaks, we believe in having some ground rules, and so we're going to go over those. 1 second. Let me pull my screen up here. There we go. Here we go. And here we go. So, as you all know here at Movement Speaks, we believe in diversity of thought, right? So you could be on the left, you could be on the right, you could be right down the middle. Not an issue for me. We want you to come in. We want to have an intellectually stimulating and engaging conversation, right? Second, no racial epithets whatsoever, right? This is a space of Black empowerment. So we believe in the 3 N's of Black power: self-respect, self-defense, and of course being self-determining. And so I believe, and it's my position here at Lumumba Speaks, that I don't allow anyone to engage in racial epithets. I think it's unbecoming. I believe it's disconcerting. And I think it shows a lack of depth in one's vocabulary when, instead of having a philosophical, intellectual conversation, they seek to start name calling. I believe that is extremely juvenile. Number 3, facts over feelings, right? What do I mean by that? So we don't want to deal with feelings. Facts and feelings are 2 different things, diametrically different. But what we do want to make sure is that if someone provides a dissenting opinion, we want you to do what? We want you to attack the argument and not the person, right? And then, of course, last but not least, no fundamentally false statements. So I always use the analogy or the example of when we talk about the great debate, Michael Jordan versus LeBron James. You could believe whoever you want is the GOAT, right? We all know it's MJ, but we have some people out there who have lost mind, French toast mind, and they believe it's, of course, LeBron James. But that's neither here nor there. But what you couldn't do is make a fundamentally false statement when you're making an argument. And the fundamentally false statement would be, Michael Jordan only won 2 championships. That's fundamentally false, right? Or you say Michael Jordan was an inefficient scorer, right? That would be something that's fundamentally false. We could go to the data and statistics, and we would find out that's not the case. So you can have whatever perspective that you want, but we require that you do not make fundamentally false statements. Why is this important? This is my platform. And of course, whatever information I allow to be disseminated on my platform is not only a reflection of the platform, but a reflection of the progenitor of said platform, which is, of course, me. So with that being said, last but not least, our mission here is neither to exonerate or vilify, but to simply challenge conventional wisdom and re-examine what has previously been accepted as fact. So with that being said, I'm going to tap in here. I have a PowerPoint that I want to pull up that I've even shared with my students, talking about Black conservative thought, right? So many of you may be aware, you may be unaware. If you are, that's quite all right. But when we talk about Black conservative thought, right, there's a number of things I think one should consider. One, Black conservative thought, Black conservatism has a long history in the African American community. Many may be unaware of this. It includes many prominent African Americans, right? Nevertheless, it's never become a salient ideology for a significant number of the African American community, and we're going to get into why that is the case. But we look at Jupiter Hammond during the slave period, when William Hooper Council during the Nadir race relations, and then, of course, George Schroyer during the 1940s and 50s, and A.G. Gaston during the 1960s, right? So when we look at some of the core tenets of Black conservative thought, we're looking at advocacy and adherence to white American cultural values, right? Strong belief in individualism. They promote a colorblind individual incorporation into the U.S. political economy, polity, and mainstream white civil society. They are, of course, advocates of self-help, i.e. pull yourself up by your bootstrap, which, of course, was one of the core talking points of Booker T. Washington. One of the issues that typically is disconcerting for many in the community is the denial of historical and continuing practice of racial oppression. And, of course, they believe that African-American culture is a composite of pathological behaviors, i.e. poverty, fatherlessness, and violence. One of the biggest weaknesses regarding Black conservative thought, particularly why it's failed to become a salient ideology in the Black community, is their strong identification and allegiance to the white power structure leads many to view Black conservatives as Uncle Toms, thus limiting their ability to appeal to much of the African American community. So something to consider and be cognizant of when we talk about why Black conservative thought has failed to gain a palpable, of course, position in the African American community. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to play an excerpt from the Higher Learning podcast, right? That shows they're having a conversation. Larry Elder came on. He talks about different issues in the Black community, systemic racism, etc. And then they get into, you make this comment about fatherlessness. It's the preeminent, according to Larry Elder, issue in the Black community that must be confronted and combated. And then we're going to look at how the conversation goes. So we'll take a look at that, and then we'll open things up in the chat. All right. Give me 1 second, family.
You are running your campaign. Is it Save America? It's what I want to say it right. What's your campaign slogan?
We have a country to save is my slogan.
We have a country to save. And you're talking about fatherlessness and that there's this epidemic in the Black community of fatherlessness. And excuse me if I've missed it, but to date, what have you done to combat fatherlessness in the Black community?
Okay, so you're accepting that we have an issue with fatherlessness in the Black community. You're accepting that, I assume.
Actually, don't. But
I'm not. You said that.
I
didn't
think so. So you're not accepting it, and you're asking me, what am I doing about something that you don't accept?
No, you're my question is clear as day. You say that it exists. You say that this exists. I'm acknowledging that. I'm acknowledging your statement.
You just said you weren't acknowledging it. So now you're
acknowledging. No, I said I don't agree with it. I'm acknowledging what you have said. You have said that there's this epidemic. So the question is, what have you done?
You don't agree that there is. I just want to understand what the question is, Rachel. So you don't agree that there's an epidemic.
The question is, I'll say it.
But you want to know what Larry would do about something that you don't think exists.
I'm not going back. Right? I'm asking you a very clear question, not even long-winded. The question is, what have you done? Okay, what have you done?
What have I done to address a problem that you don't think exists?
Do you not want to answer? You don't have to answer, because I think that's the answer. Is that have you not done anything to combat fatherlessness?
You just now acknowledged, in your opinion, that what I just now said isn't even a problem.
It's now you're asking me, what have you done? Have you done anything?
Address a problem that you don't think is a problem.
Larry, we gotta go.
Larry,
hold on.
I'll take that as a no.
Yeah, I'll take that as a no. That's a very simple question. Larry, tell him where to go. LarryElder.com. No, we gotta go, Larry. You don't like we can't do that now. You gotta at least. That's the woman in the house. You gotta at least. I'm not.
Now you want me to do. Answer
Larry, it's your campaign, Larry. Larry, this is your campaign. Your campaign is about fatherlessness. I'm giving you the floor to talk about how you have combat fatherlessness, because you say it is such an issue in this country and you don't want to answer the question.
I'm happy to answer the question, provided that you acknowledge that there is a problem.
Larry, get the fuck out of here. That's Larry Elder, guys. LarryElder.com.
So there we have it, family. As you can see, they got to the point where he said, man, get the bleep out of here, right? So I put the link in the chat. Tap in, be part of the conversation. Let me know, what do you think of Larry Elder having a political campaign where he says fatherlessness is one of the major issues in America. But when asked the question, what has he done to combat fatherlessness, he doesn't answer the question. So the link is in the chat, family. Make sure you tap in and be part of the conversation. You're watching Lumumba Speaks here on YouTube. Black Empowerment Initiative, where we believe we always bet on Black. Larry Elder, and what has he done to combat fatherlessness? And so, of course, as you all know, we can open up the conversation to ask the question, is fatherlessness an issue in the Black community, right? But definitely want to look at Larry Elder, Black Republican, and the argument that he's making that fatherlessness is an issue in the Black community. And of course, what do you make of the fact that he refuses to answer the question, right? Even though his campaign states it's a problem, but he isn't willing himself to answer the question of what he has done to combat the problem. I will share with you all my position. My position is that what we tend to find with many Black Republicans is they're willing to highlight an issue. They tend to be alarmists, particularly when it comes to seeking out what they consider as dysfunctional behavior in the Black community, but they never to have a solution to said problem. It's simply to castigate and repudiate the Black community. So I think this is part and parcel, part of what we tend to find in Black conservative thought, particularly when we talk about inorganic Black conservatives, right? We talk about an organic Black conservative, someone such as a Condoleezza Rice, even though I know many people don't like her. We talk about one Booker T. Washington, even though they may have looked at the Black community and Black culture as something that was pathological, right? They did have solutions to said problems, right? We look at Booker T. Washington, for example. He believed in what? Being thrifty, being frugal, he believed in what? An industrial education, right? As a solution to what he believed were the litany of issues that the Black community faced. So he was an organic Black conservative rather than an inorganic Black conservative. So we definitely want to make sure that we make a distinction between organic and inorganic Black conservative thought. But once again, the link is in the chat, family. Make sure you tap in, be part of the conversation. Once again, Lumumba Speaks is back. I know it's been about 4 months, but we're back in the house, and we definitely want to have a robust conversation this evening regarding Larry Elder's campaign and what his inability or unwillingness to answer the question regarding what he has done to combat fatherlessness, not only in America, but in the Black community, because he argues that it is one of the preeminent issues, not only in America, but also in the Black community. So definitely want you all to tap in. The link is in the chat, family. Make sure you tap in. Make sure you hit the thumbs up button, subscribe, like, and share. You're watching Lumumba Speaks here on YouTube. Definitely want you all to tap in. So we need to make sure we make that happen. Make sure we make that happen. I know it's been a while. I've been out the game for a minute. As you all know, I was having some issues. They demonetized my channel. They made some accusations that I would just believe were patently false. I appealed. My appeal was denied, but I'm back in the mix now, and we're going to do the best that we can moving forward. But make sure you tap in. The link is in the chat, and we want to have a robust conversation regarding Larry Elder and what he has done to combat fatherlessness. As I said before, he was asked a question, as you all saw, and he refused to answer the question. He was ducking like he was Floyd Mayweather Jr. The claim that he made was, "You're asking me to address an issue that you believe doesn't exist," which I believe is neither here nor there. He claims in his campaign that it's an issue. And so if you believe that's an issue, we need to know what you are doing to solve said issue that you believe exists, right? So these are some of the issues that we tend to find with individuals and on both sides, actually, on the left and the right. But I definitely want to know what many of you all think regarding Larry Elder's duck, regarding the question of what has he done to combat fatherlessness. So if you're familiar with Larry Elder and his campaign, put a 1 in the chat. If you're unfamiliar with Larry Elder and his campaign for president, put a 2 in the chat. So if you're familiar with Larry Elder, put a 1 in the chat. And if you're unfamiliar with Larry Elder, put a 2 in the chat. Once again, you're watching Lumumba Speaks here on YouTube, a Black empowerment initiative where we believe we could gain a competitive advantage by always betting on Black. So make sure you put a 1 in the chat if you're familiar with Larry Elder, and a 2 in the chat if you are unfamiliar with Larry Elder, right? But once again, we're seeking to have a conversation regarding Larry Elder's claim that fatherlessness, not only in America, but particularly in Black communities, is one of the major preeminent issues in the country, but he was unwilling. Right? Like I said, he was ducking like Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather Jr., the late great, well, not the late, but the great Floyd Mayweather Jr., regarding the question. And I would argue that he hasn't done anything, right? We tend to find, and this is in my opinion, particularly on the Republican end, particularly with Black conservatives, that there tends to be a push to be an alarmist, right? Rather than someone who is actually engaging and addressing the very issues that they say are extremely problematic. So definitely, if you appreciate you all. So many of you are unaware of Larry Elder, right? And it's pretty wild because he actually has a nationally syndicated radio show, right? Many people may be unaware of that, but he has a nationally syndicated radio show. And of course, he's been a huge Trump supporter. And of course, he's a former California gubernatorial candidate. He didn't get many votes. He didn't get very far there. But of course, now he's running for the Republican nomination for president in the 2024 election. But I'm going to play the video one more time, family. And then please, if you can, tap in, be part of the conversation. If not, we're going to close things out. But definitely want you all to be part of the conversation, because I think this could be a great conversation that we're having, particularly about Black conservative thought in contemporary Black America. So one more time, I'm going to play the video, and then we're going to open things up once again and have a great conversation. All right, so let's get here. I'm going to share my screen and make some things happen.
Your campaign, is it Save America? It's what I want to say it right. What's your campaign slogan?
We have a country to save.
We have a country to save. and you're talking about fatherlessness and that there's this epidemic in the Black community of fatherlessness. And excuse me if I've missed it, but to date, what have you done to combat fatherlessness in the Black community?
Okay, so you're accepting that we have an issue with fatherlessness in the Black community. You're accepting that, I assume.
Actually don't, but
I'm not. You said that.
I didn't think so. So you're not accepting it, and you're asking me, what am I doing about something that you don't accept?
No, you're my question is clear as day. You say that it exists. You say that this exists. I'm acknowledging that. I'm acknowledging your statement.
You just said you weren't acknowledging it. So now you're
acknowledging it. I said I don't agree with it. I'm acknowledging what you have said. You have said that there's this epidemic. So the question is, what have you done? You don't agree that there is. I just want to understand what the question is, Rachel. So you don't agree that there's an epidemic. The question is, I'll say it. But you want to know what Larry would do about something that you don't think exists. I'm not going back. Right? I'm asking you a very clear question, not even long-winded. The question is, what have you done? Okay, what have you done?
What have I done to address a problem that you don't think exists?
Do you not want to answer? You don't have to answer, because I think that's the answer. Is that have you not done anything to combat fatherlessness?
You just now acknowledged, in your opinion, that what I just now said isn't even a problem.
It's
and now you're asking me,
what have you done? Have you done anything?
That's a problem that you don't think is a problem.
There, we gotta go.
Larry,
hold on.
I'll take that as a no.
Yeah,
I'll take that as a no. That's not a simple question.
Larry, tell him where to go. LarryElder.com. No, we gotta go, Larry. You don't like we can't do that now. You gotta at least. That's the woman in the house. You gotta at least. I'm not.
Now you want me to do. To answer
Larry,
it's your campaign, Larry. Larry, this is your campaign. Your campaign is about fatherlessness. I'm giving you the floor to talk about how you have combat fatherlessness, because you say it is such an issue in this country and you don't want to answer the question.
I'm happy to answer the question, provided that you acknowledge that there is a problem.
Larry, get the fuck out of here. That's Larry Elder, guys. LarryElder.com. He's got a lot of other things. He actually says a couple of things on here I will say that I do agree with.
So Rachel, you're ending this interview not agreeing that there is an epidemic of fatherlessness, but you're upset with me for not addressing a problem that you does not think exists, correct?
Okay.
You can put it back on me, Larry. That's fine. Everybody can see you did not answer the question.
So
I'm happy. No, you did not acknowledge that there is even a problem, and you want me to ask how I would address a problem that you don't even think exists.
Okay, Larry, we've been disagreeing this entire podcast, and you've been answering the questions that have been given to you.
Let me tell you why I say what I say, because I think you're taking my answer and attributing it to Rachel. But this is what I said. According to the CDC, 58% of black fathers live with one or more of their children, and even a larger majority, 72.7% of black fathers talk with their children about things that happened that day several times a week or more. Real quick, just so people know this. Black fathers, hold on, wait. Real quick. Black fathers, 70% were more likely to have bathed, dressed, diapered, or helped their children use the toilet every day compared with white and Hispanic fathers. I'm not saying that we don't need to address fatherlessness. What I am saying is whether or not rather than have a holistic conversation about the changing dynamic of the American family in totality and how it looks, sometimes black men get demonized by right-wing talking points, acting like they don't love their children. I'm never ever going to have a disagreement with someone who wants to talk about the importance of fathers. Larry, let me finish, Larry. I've heard you talk about your father. I've heard the way that you revere your father, and I connect with you on that. I lost my father 2 years ago. He was my hero. He was a small business owner, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, owned TNT Construction, a subcontracting company. He went out, and we're in a city in Louisiana, in the South, that's dominated by white contractors, made a living for his family every single day, taught me his business, taught me the value.
So as you can see, family, he refused to answer the question, right? Just make it rather plain. He refused to answer the question. And so they eventually got tired of the tautological reasoning, the talking in circles, and they allowed him to exit stage left. But I think what was rather curious in the replay, and of course, fair use on the video, was that She stated, we've disagreed throughout the podcast, but yet you've still answered my questions. But when it comes to this question, you're choosing not to answer. And I would once again restate that I believe that is due to the fact that he hasn't actually done anything to address this issue. And one of the things that we tend to find from inorganic Black conservative talking heads is a willingness to highlight what they believe is the pathologically degenerate behavior of Black people, but not actually engage in actions to what address and fix the issue, right? So once again, family, I'm gonna put the link in the chat once again. Definitely want you all to tap in and be part of the conversation as we discuss Larry Elder refusal to answer the question regarding what he has done to combat fatherlessness. If you are unaware who Larry Elder is, you could go to larryelder.com, where he states on his campaign website that fatherlessness is a major problem in the Black community and it must be addressed. In fact, he states that fatherlessness is one of the major issues in the Black community. One of the major issues holding Black people back is fatherlessness. But when asked the question, what has he done to address that issue? Of course, he drew a blank. As I said before, he was ducking like he was Floyd Mayweather Jr., the great Floyd Mayweather Jr., right? So with that being said, family, tap in, be part of the conversation. We can even extend this conversation to talk about Black conservative thought. We can open this up to talk about the dynamics of the Black family. But once again, you're watching Lumumba Speaks here on YouTube, LumumbaSpeaks.com, a Black empowerment initiative where we believe we could gain a competitive advantage by always, keyword always, betting on Black. So I'm gonna keep things open for a minute, family, but then if not, I'm gonna log off. But make sure, if you have not done so already, follow me on Medium. So I'm gonna put the link to my Medium account in the chat, and definitely want you all to follow me on Medium. I've been publishing there regularly now, and I just published my latest article, Black Cultures and Erasing of Space. So definitely want you all to check that out. I'm gonna put the link in the chat to my, of course, Medium account. And if you could, hopefully you all can follow me on Medium as well. Of course, it's free. All you have to do is sign up with a email address. So once again, family, appreciate you all tapping in. Wish you all could tap in to the actual live chat and the conversation. But with that said, we're gonna call it a night. Until next time, y'all know what to do. Always bet on Black.